Second hour, 9 to noon. It is a Friday football feast here at the Minnesota State Fair. It is a gorgeous Friday. It's Nordo in for PA. You're going to hear from PA, from Denver, around 11:35 this morning. Paul Charchian, Fantasy Football World. He's gone global, ladies and gentlemen. Paul Charchian, Fantasy Football World. And about to be in Denver, joining us is Ben Leber at Nacho Leber via X. And just looking into preseason game number 3 tonight, 8 p.m. kick right here on your home for Vikings Football, the Fan. How you doing, Leber?
Oh, Nordo, I'm doing great. Just sitting outside my gate trying to find a little quiet spot to talk to you guys.
So over the course of the show thus far, a lot of quarterback-related conversation, and I'm sure we'll find our way there, Mr. Leber. But let's start with this. Is Caleb Banks going to see the field tonight, and maybe how much do you think that our first-round pick should see the field this evening in Denver?
Oh man, I hope we see a lot of Caleb Banks tonight. This feels like especially after he talked about being a little out of shape in football shape, and he admitted that, and he's going to be working on it. Hey, there's no better way to get in football shape than play the game. So I feel like this feels like a lot of high reps for me for Caleb Banks. I know they're going to have to weigh that with just, injury and putting him out there unnecessarily. But when it comes to just flat out letting a young guy go play and maybe build some confidence into the season, I think this game, I think he should get a lot of reps. And
hi, Ben, it's Charch. I feel like Caleb Banks has been inconsistent to this point. I think part of the reps are that you want to see if he's going to have the play-to-play consistency and discipline that, in my personal opinion, that we haven't seen yet. Do you see it the same way?
Well, I mean, inconsistent, I think just yes, but I'll give him a little bit of a free pass in the first game because it's been a first game in a really long time, and it's not like he's just going against some SEC talent. Is going against some of the best in the world. So I think that first game is kind of a throwaway. I think last game he played much better. Yep. I understand the way I understand it. They know what he does best, and that's being on the move. I'd like to see him in this game tonight. When you talk about consistency, just playing straight up base defense. We're not going to be slanting you. You're not going to be involved in a twist or a stunt or a pick play or doing anything else as far as getting on the edge of a guy for a blitz or a stunt purpose. It is just let's play man defense or just straight up base defense and see how you can react versus the guard that's in front of you, the tackle that's in front of you, any sort of double teams and blocks like that. How do you handle the run game when it's just mano-a-mano? That's what I want to see because you can't always stunt and slant and twist these guys each and every snap. We know that he's quick off the ball when he does that. He can get on the edge and use his big body, but I want to see him just go flat out there, beat somebody up on a down-to-down basis.
Hey, Ben, in some ways, just kind of going back to when we drafted him, the understanding of the foot situation and the path to being healthy for training camp, is Caleb in some ways maybe a victim of his own honesty with the comments after the other weekend where he's out of shape and he's got to do more gassers after practice, where we're excited for the first-round pick. Maybe we kind of forgot the idea that this was going to be a slow build into the season. Where is your head at on all that? Anymore these days, I sort of like the honesty that athletes give. It's not always just the company line. There's a time and place for that. But I think when it comes to your own evaluation, sure, I'm good with players being more hard on themselves than maybe the public observes or maybe what a coach wants them to say or not say. Having these guys go out there and just be honest and candid, I think is refreshing. And the thing is, if he said the opposite and it was like, oh, no, I feel like I'm in really good game shape, I think the rest of us on the outside would be like, really? Like, this is what game shape looks like to you? So I think that we'd have a larger discussion if he was trying to tell us something that wasn't true, at least what our eyes are not seeing. So I like the fact that he is being honest. It is one of those things that is a slow build. Like I said, being in football shape is just different than your off-season training, doing some sprints and stuff like that, and doing a little cross-training. Playing football, and you've got, a 300-pound man in front of you. Sometimes you have 600 pounds of two guys on a double team. that wears you down. And so you can't replicate that all other than just playing the game.
Ben, what have you seen out of Dallas Turner? Obviously a very important part for this defense. He was not needed to be on the field every play for his first couple of years, but now he has a vastly expanded role, responsibility. Do you feel like Dallas Turner has shown what you wanted to see through this stage of the preseason?
Yeah, he really has. I think he's been a really bright spot as far as just taking over that role and what he looks like on not just a passing down, but a run down as well. And, not to say that we didn't give him his credit last year when he was playing the run, because he's actually a pretty good run defender. But just everything that is being married together. It's one thing if you feel like you're just a first and second down player and you can become a master of those two downs, and then some pass rushing specialists are just pass rushing specialists. That's what they master at on third downs and passing downs. So the fact that I feel like from what we've seen in the games and then what we have been seeing in practice and what everybody's talking about, even though the practices the public is not at, is he's putting all that together. He's stopping the run with violence. He's throwing his body around. He's being disruptive in the backfield. And then he's able to turn on that pass rushing mode when we get into those passing situations. And so it does sound like he's answered the bell. Let's hope that we can continue to see it in the regular season, because that's when it really matters.
And with that said, into a third preseason game like tonight, probably not going to see Dallas Turner. Is this a big spot for the Tyler Baddies and the Bo Richter types in terms of, we've talked, just myriad segments on, I assume they'll probably go find a pass rusher. Those that listen to 9 to Noon have heard PA mention Hassan Reddick's name a number of times. You had an affinity, I believe, for Kyle Van Noy, some of the things he was able to accomplish with the Ravens the last couple of years, but maybe a big spot for the Baddies and the Richters that could mitigate the immediate need for that.
Yeah, I think so. I doubt a guy like Ty Ingram Dawkins plays tonight as well, because he is listed as the number one on the interior part of the defensive line. They kind of bounced him around a little bit. I was hoping to see a little bit more out of him as he moved out to the edge in some of these preseason games. But that being said, I think Baddies played really well. I think he's just a different type of pass rusher. He's just more of your power pass rusher. I think he does a good job just executing some of the angles on some of these blitzes and seems to be a smart pass rusher. But as far as being a real bendy, super athletic guy off the edge, I just don't think that he is that. So it's kind of like, what is B-Flow's appetite? Does he want, a Hassan Reddick, a Kyle Van Noy who's a little bit more athletic and speedy off the edge, or does he want sort of a workman-like attitude on the outside where you can leave a guy like Tyler Badie out there to play the run as well? So I think he's played really well. I think Tyler Badie deserves a spot on the team and the 53-man roster. But as far as kind of checking that box of like, okay, I feel really, really comfortable about having a situational pass rusher when we need it, I'm not sure that he's there yet.
That's Ben Leber. He is from the Minneapolis-St. Paul Airport, probably using Paul Charchian's iPad right now as we speak.
If you're anywhere near F5,
that's
find
right.
my iPad.
Charch, you want me to go pick it up? Is it at this airport?
Yes, if you don't mind. And then bring it to Denver with you, then bring it back, and then if it's not too much trouble, drive it to my hotel room.
I actually wish I would have. I did see that, your tweet on the way to the airport, and I should have remembered that. I for whatever reason, I thought that was like at the Utah airport and maybe not at the Minneapolis airport. So, man, dude, I'm already past security, so I guess I can't go back at this point.
Yeah, it sounds like you're making a lot of excuses, but I got to give a tip of the hat to a guy named AB from Delta who saw my tweet and tracked down my iPad last night. It's like 10 o'clock, and he's scrounging around F5, and he found my iPad.
Unbelievable.
Very, very cool.
No,
tip of that to AB at Delta. Ben, I saw you on the Cy Amundsen podcast called Sound the Horn. I think you were the guest.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about why you believe Justin Jefferson looks better than he ever has.
Well, let's get one thing straight here,
Yes,
Charch. It is not the Cy Amundsen podcast. It is a joint venture. I'm not just the guest. I'm also the co-host. So let's just put that out there that I'm on every single show with Cy. But thank you for watching.
Yes.
Cy does do such a good job. He's super, super smart, and he does all like the technical stuff. He does all the nerdy stuff, which is great. So, the funny thing about the whole Justin Jefferson, the comments that he made, the people questioning him, is he really still the true, one of the best wide receivers in the league? And I find it completely preposterous because his production and numbers went down because they rely on the guy throwing the football. The whole league, for whatever reason, and even the newsy people out there, the experts, the quote-unquote experts, are trying to tell us that somehow Justin Jefferson is he got worse last year from a technical standpoint, from a route running standpoint, from a speed standpoint, from a knowledge and football IQ standpoint. Like, get out of here. Like, it was such a dumb narrative that has been floated around. The fact that he had to go out there and even speak to it is ridiculous. You watch all these games and you're like, no, it's still the same all-pro Justin Jefferson running the routes and stemming and doing all the things that he's supposed to be doing. It's just he can't throw himself the football. So, I have no doubt that if we get consistency from Kyler this year, he's going to be back statistically on the top of the charts. People are going to look at him again and notice the fact that, it's still the same Justin Jefferson, and guess what? He might even be a little bit stronger. He seems to be a little bit thicker, and maybe he can handle a little bit more of a workload, and he can work through some of these double teams in these brackets a little bit better. So I think we're going to have a better version of Justin Jefferson.
Ben, I commented on this last segment or 2 segments ago. I'll get your opinion on this. Last year, Justin Jefferson was a good soldier with some quarterbacking that was at best inconsistent and at times downright bad. And Jefferson's numbers went down. You could see some frustration on his face, but he never said the wrong thing. He never did the wrong thing. I don't want to play that scenario out one more year. I feel like one of the elements that needs to go into this decision about Carson Wentz and J.J. McCarthy is we don't want to put our best player on the team, offense or defense, into a position where Justin Jefferson goes through another season like last year. And for me, that tilts the scales. One of the things that tilts the scales to Carson Wentz being the number 2, because I don't want to have another J.J. McCarthy experience for Justin Jefferson. And at the end of this year, we're in a position where Justin feels like he's got to go somewhere where there's more stability. Do you think that factors into the decision whatsoever? On whether or not the number 2 quarterback here is Wentz or if it'll be J.J. McCarthy?
I think it does, but I think we're giving the situation a little bit too much credit to Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson is just a microcosm of what the actual decision is going to be and what the actual equation is. He's just one variable in this equation. I think when it comes to is it Wentz or McCarthy at number 2, you got to ask yourself, who runs the offense the best? That's it. I mean, there's no other metric that I think KOC needs to look at. He doesn't need to look at whether or not Justin Jefferson's happy per se. It's not like just, hey, let's go ask Justin and let's see who can get him the ball the best and the most accurate. It's like, no, who can run this offense? Who can actually distribute the football? Who can see that Justin Jefferson's double teamed right off the get-go and know exactly in the flow of the play where to go with the football? Who's the guy that can get to options 2 and 3? Who's the guy that can manage the huddle and the processing? And that to me is the bigger question. Yep. And there's a lot more variables into it outside Justin Jefferson. Now, is Justin Jefferson a capital letter in that equation? For sure. But I don't think that he is like, oh, we have to make sure that we check in with him and that's the only thing that we worry about. It is about how the offense is run in total. And, I think there's a really compelling argument that Carson Wentz probably answers that question more than J.J. McCarthy.
Time for a couple of more with Ben Leber. You're going to watch him tonight. Listen to him tonight, hopefully. Minnesota Vikings Audio Network. PA Pete and Ben Leber as part of preseason game number 3. Vikings at the Denver Broncos. kind of thinking offensively, all these conversation pieces, the QB stuff, clearly there is a bent towards figuring out how to get Justin Jefferson open. You can wield in the run game, all of that. What about T.J. Hawkinson? So I don't know why I'm obsessed with this, but the idea is final year of deal, and maybe the lack of production, the disappointing nature, the injury, and whatever recovery is required in that. But I feel like with Kyler Murray, because while we talk about QB2, QB1 is settled, Kyler Murray, it feels like T.J. Hawkinson could be a terrific resource and an asset for Kyler, specifically earlier in the season as this offense grows. I think there's a big chance for T.J. to have maybe the best season he's had as a Viking. Am I too far on that?
No, I don't think you're too far on that. I think that maybe the stick in the spoke with all this is Juwan Jennings. Where does he fit on some of these move the chain downs? And that's kind of where you're thinking that Hawkinson's going to make his biggest impact. Well, then you also have a guy in the league that's known as the best chain mover in the league. So, where do they look to in those critical situations? And then, Charch knows this as well. I mean, who was Kyler's favorite target in Arizona? Was this tight end? And, is that a product of Kyler just feeling comfortable in those situations? Like, is that like his little safety blanket, or is that just the way Drew Petzing was drawing up the offense was, oh man, we're going to have a lot of short, quick underneath routes, 8 yards or less. And he was just the best at getting separation on a more consistent basis. So is that why he felt like he's got to throw to his tight end so much? This is a completely different offense philosophically than what he's used to in Arizona and Drew Petzing. So that will be, I think, something that we're all going to be watching the first 4 games is how does Kyler adapt to this deeper down the field approach, getting through his progressions, and then trying to balance out the ball distribution. I think it's going to be really important. But yeah, when you look at statistically, where has he felt the most comfortable? It's thrown to his tight ends, which would think that, yes, T.J. Hawkinson could be sitting on a huge year.
Ben, do you think Ivan Pace is on this team in a week?
I don't. I think that he's in a real big battle with Jake the Snake Roberts, and Jake Roberts he's a Nolan Teasley guy. It's a guy that they've found, and I think that's the other part of all these decisions is you have a new GM who has no affiliation and no connection to some of these guys in the past regime. And so he can make a cleaner decision. And if he and his staff go out and find a guy and target a guy that can play a similar role, maybe give you those special teams reps, and then also if he needs to get in there, play more of a true passing down linebacker situation and play better in coverage, then maybe you go with the all-around player that feels like your guy. So I do feel like that Ivan Pace is on his way out.
Hey, Ben, thank you so much for giving us some time this morning. Definitely take Charch's iPad with you en route to Denver.
And then leave it in the Denver airport.
Yes, and leave it in Denver. Force a connecting flight for the Friday co-host. But safe travels as always. Can't wait to hear you on the broadcast and see you next week when you're back.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. Enjoy the fair.
Yeah, cheers. That's Ben Leber, Vikings sideline analyst, Vikings Audio Network, on his way to Denver. And we're going to get to hear from PA from Denver next hour as well. So continuing on, Friday Football and Fantasy Feast. Over the next few segments, Charch, whether it's we get some Vikes Bites around the corner, some fantasy topics, maybe some NFL-wide bits.
Big weekend for fantasy drafts right here.
Yes, it is, indeed. So that's where the next several segments will take us on a Friday Football and Fantasy Feast. Charch is here. I'm Nordo, and it is 9 to noon on the Fan.
Thanks to Mesh Mesher.
I am Nordo. And thanks for joining us live in the shadow of the grandstand, as we would say. Appreciating a little breeze and a little bit of shade.
Oh, the weather's basically perfect.
It's basically perfect, and it's a State Fair tradition. Mm-hmm. Mouth Guitar Guy will be here at some point to just enjoy fellowship as he hangs
coming
around.
back.
And eventually he does the Common Show. He ends it every year. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good.
I saw him yesterday.
He moved away. Mouth Guitar Guy moved away, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Didn't work out.
So he comes back. Oh, so he's back now full time.
Yeah. He couldn't.
Okay.
He couldn't quit. He couldn't quit the Common Man program.
I think
so he will be here today, and the crowd will build. He's terrific at what he does.
Do we know what song he's going to perform?
No, I don't. But he will show up and tell us. I promise you that.
All right.
And Warren in St. Paul is here. We love those conversations every single year, and he'll be at the Friday feast throughout the year.
Yep.
You did hit us with a hot take, though. Gavin Gerhardt. See, this is the kind of stuff that we dig
Only
into.
from Warren. Yes.
The roster cut down, so it will be a preseason game tonight, Mile High, and Vikings and Broncos, and we'll chat with PA later on, get a vibe in terms of maybe who the quarterback's going to be to start the game, but things to look for. Maybe it is that the 7th-round pick, Gavin Gerhardt, is the preferred center for the Minnesota Vikings and that he should be top of the depth chart. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not ready to say should be top of the depth chart. I'll leave that to Warren.
But he's enterprising in his ideas, just like you are enterprising in your various companies.
Oh, we're very similar. Cut from the same cloth, me and Warren from St. Paul.
The light kind is obvious.
I think we all assumed that the Vikings would make an off-season move at center.
Yeah.
But ultimately they decided not to bring in free agents. They went to the draft, but not until late in the draft, 7th rounder, Gavin Gerhardt. Blake Brandel is our starting center unless something changes. And we've seen Blake. He's been pushed into duty several times. So, we know some about what he will bring to the table. So, obviously the front office decided that Brandel was good enough that whoever you were going to bring in and pay was not going to be a material upgrade to Brandel. And so,
there we are, right?
There we are. Well, he is probably, at least on paper, he's the weak link out of the 5 starters. But we've also seen him play adequately. And honestly, if we can get to the end of the season and say Blake Brandel played adequately, I'm happy. I will take my win.
Well, let me do this because it requires a sponsor. Bites is presented by Kinmount Exteriors, kinmountexteriors.com. Paul, Craig, and Clay, windows, siding, roofing, and decks. It's the clear quote promise. They absolutely love the Minnesota Vikings, but they love the opportunity to work with you and create terrific projects and finished products for your home. So check them out, kinmountexteriors.com. It's kind of joking, kind of tongue-in-cheek a little bit, but somewhat serious. When you do hear, 10, 12, 14 days in front of a regular season charge, that the center is having issues with the shotgun snaps, and the preferred quarterback
loves the shotgun.
May have done 75% of his work over the course of his career out of the gun.
Is it? I thought it was even higher than 75%.
So the first 2 years in Arizona were under Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah.
And I think, and maybe some of them are kneel downs and just various spot situations under center, but the percentage is insane. It's like
90%.
Yeah, it's 90%.
Yeah.
And then Petzing rolls in, or maybe there was somewhere between Kingsbury and Petzing. I don't have his stuff in front of me, but it went down a little bit.
All right.
So Petzing was at least asking a bit, once in a while, can you please just dig your hand in there, at least maybe on a run play or the occasional play action. So the percentage went down. I think 75% is fair.
Okay.
But to that end, all my focus in the offseason is just I need that Darisaw, isn't he, to be done. And I need less than, the 17, 18, 19, 20 O-line incarnations that we had to throw out there over the course of the season.
Bad deal last year.
Just need healthy players.
Yeah.
And so kind of giving, Brandel and trusting in that decision was made, kind of anointed, right? Because they didn't go out and get Cade Mays, for instance. Cade Mays was a guy from the Panthers.
Yep.
And he was considered by some, just like Drew Dahlman was when he went to the Bears 2 years ago. Cade Mays was considered, that's the best option that you have at center. He's now hurt for the kiddies, so tough situation for them, but you don't go that route. Well, Brandel must just have it. And the reports have been very mixed over the course of camp. That's kind of worrisome.
Well, it is, but most teams don't have 5 reliable starting offensive linemen. That is a luxury most teams do not have. The Eagles have 5. There aren't a lot of teams that have got that. And so, you hope that the one guy, you can make up for whatever deficiencies the one guy is that player may have. Maybe Donovan Jackson in his second year is going to help.
I'm really excited for him.
Yeah, we want to see this. We want to see the step up, right?
Yeah.
I think we all agree Jackson was good last year.
Good. Yeah.
Good. I think he was good. Now, he was
either had a wrist or a hand. He even missed a game.
He missed,
or two.
He missed a few games.
I wonder how much.
He's a first rounder.
Yeah.
We'd like to see him take a full step up in his evolution in year number 2. And I think it's a reasonable expectation when you're a first round guard that we see you get better in year 2. To me, that's very possible.
Yeah. No, while I look like an O-lineman, I can't play like an O-lineman. And so I just wonder how much the musical chairs around him. I mean, you start the year, and this is, think about the quarterback spot. It's like if Kyler's healthy, if Carson Wentz is healthy, J.J. McCarthy, there's always a thing. And the irritation around that. We brought in Ryan Kelly knowing that there were potential health issues. The concussions sadly get the best of him. He has to retire. And that musical chair situations with Juergens in the mix there and Brandel in spots. And, there's Joe Huber playing snaps at guard.
Yeah.
But then Justin School, you get Walter Rouse sightings. How much do the musical chairs, I wonder, how much did that impact his rookie campain as well? But
probably a fair amount.
Everyone's saying amazing things about him, though.
Yeah.
That he gets it and he's ready to rock.
You talk to linemen. You and I have talked to linemen for 2 decades. They all talk about the value of continuity.
Yes.
And we
all like routine.
They like to have the same guys next to them running the same scheme over and over and over again. And the more they work together, the better they get. Last year was a disaster from that standpoint. Right? We had 3 new faces on the offensive line, and then they were all in and out of the lineup. So never got to get continuity going. The hope is here. We get the same starting 5 for a long chunk of this season, and everybody can get a lot more comfortable with the guys next to them. Really want to see what Will Fries does in year 2.
Yeah.
In and out of the lineup. He
ascended a bit, do you think?
I thought so.
Okay.
In and out of the lineup a lot last year, and then he was having, he had guys next to him running out of the lineup all the time. I really want to see, I'd love to see him make a big step forward. He was a big signing last year.
I know we've gone through this before, but just think about it, whether it was Hargrave had played like 3 games the year before we signed him. Then you have Jonathan Allen, like half a season before we signed him.
Man, those are bad signings.
Will Fries, I think it was a tibia, it was a lower leg fracture. He only got through 5 with the Colts the year before we signed him. The concussion issues with Ryan Kelly. Whatever that scrap heap, whatever the magnetism that has drawn us to that hill.
Well, this was a Grigson deal. Over the course of Grigson's career, dude loves his injured veterans, and anytime he's had some impact, you've seen teams go for injured veteran players. And that works out so rarely. So I think that was a lot of that was Grigson's.
I think he's now with the Browns, right? He's not. I think it's the Browns.
Maybe. I don't know. It might make some sense. I don't know.
Best of luck on the shores of Lake Erie.
Right.
Vikes Bites. The run game. What's your level of optimism with what you've seen?
Extremely high. Look, I am extremely optimistic about the run game, in part because of rookie Max Bredesen at fullback. I want to see Bredesen plowing guys and opening lanes, and we have not had a great fullback here since who was the last great Vikings fullback? Tony Richardson. Good call.
That's a good one.
Tony Richardson. When you see what Kyle Juszczyk does for the 49ers, I want to see some of that, and I think it'll be an absolute. It'll be blast to see what he can do. I want to see renewed confidence in what Jordan Mason can bring to this team. I want to see Jordan Mason as the lead back with Aaron Jones. I like to see this to be about a 2/3, 1/3. Well, I'll even go more granular than that. I'd like this to be a 60% Jordan Mason. I would like it to be 30% Aaron Jones, 10% Damon Claiborne. And Claiborne's role may expand in this. I want to keep Aaron Jones healthy, which I'm convinced that he's got a rep threshold where he just simply breaks down. We've seen it so many years in a row.
Well, how about that? 2 years ago, there was this celebration of him playing all 17. But if you remember, in that final game of the regular season, primetime against the Kitties, number 1 seeds on the line, I'm pretty sure it was Cam Akers that had more burst. He had like a 59 or 60-yard run in that game. So he played in all the games, but there was no gas in the tank for Aaron Jones, and then nicked up he missed 4 or 5 games a year ago. It is about keeping him healthy.
Just keep him healthy. And Jordan Mason brings grit and toughness to the running game that nobody else in this roster is going to. I think I speak for all Viking fans when I say 3rd and 2 should be a running down, and it has never been that way under Kevin O'Connell. We're ready to start converting those 3rd and 2s and trying them as running plays, converting them as running plays. Goal to go. Balls at the 1. I don't want to see little Kyler Murray trying to make a fast play behind his
Little Kyler,
trying to make an instant read behind his gigantic offensive line. Where Kyler's going to be great are longer developing plays where he can use his mobility, roll him out. When the ball's goal to go at the 1 and everybody's compressed all around you, that should be a running play. That's not a Kyler moment. That should be a Jordan Mason moment on 3rd and 2 at the goal line.
What about a tush push with Miles Price doing the pushing?
Behind Kyler?
Yes.
Oh, God, it'd be so funny.
Well, didn't we had that, I think, in a Cincinnati game a few years ago. It was either Kirk or Mullins.
We tush
and
pushed
Brandon Powell was the guy pushing.
Yeah. How? Why?
We found the smallest guy on the team. Just like Philly. Works every single time.
Yeah, exactly. So at this time last year, I was saying all the same stuff about Jordan Mason except no fullback. And
just like Charch to be a year ahead of the game, everybody.
None of it came to fruition. None of it. This year, it's going to happen. It's going to be Jordan Mason's year. There's been so much talk in training camp about how much better Mason looks, faster, leaner, stronger. Let's see what this offense looks like with Jordan Mason as your lead back and see if we can get a more balanced offense than we've had in any year that under Kevin O'Connell.
Man, balance. And that's going to help number 18 too. It's all about Justin Jefferson.
I mean, look, a great running game helps your passing game for sure. And this team has not had a threat at running game in the Kevin O'Connell era. Let's get it going.
You did mention it was 22-23. The first couple of years, we were a 75-80% throwing team on 3rd and 3 or shorter.
Yeah.
Just kind of nutty.
Last year, in goal-to-go situations, we had the 2nd highest pass rate in the league.
And how was our red zone offense?
Not great. So, I mean, let's bring diversity. Let's get the running game going. It's time. It's time.
It is time.
And KOC's talked about it. I feel like every offseason he talks about wanting to get balance.
5th year's the charm.
That's right. 5th year is going to be the charm.
That's Vikes Bites. Vikes Bites brought to you by Kinmount Exteriors, KinmountExteriors.com. Windows, siding, roofing, and decks. Oh my! Learn more about the Clear Quote Promise at KinmountExteriors.com. It's a Friday football and fantasy feast. Let's do some fantasy topics around the corner.
If we must.
Yeah, twist his arm, do we? It's Nordo in for PA. PA joins at 11:35 from Denver. Paul Charchian is here. Thanks for hanging out with us and listening to us at the Minnesota State Fair right here on The Fan.
This is The Fan broadcasting live from the Minnesota State Fair.
Friday Feast, Shadow of the Grandstand. It is 9 to noon. Nordo in for PA. He'll be joining us from Denver around 11:35. Paul Charchian is here. And fantasy topics. Again, you've gone global. Fantasy football world.
Fantasy football world. Saturday, tomorrow, 10 o'clock. We'll be right back here at the State Fair. It'll be myself, Scott Fish, and new guy Kent Wyrock, who will be the new guy for like a decade because we've got other people who have been here for decades.
So,
yeah.
No, absolutely.
Looking forward to that.
Is this fantasy football world for like 2 years, and then you'll be fantasy football
Galaxy, Universe. Then we'll just go like fantasy football Big Bang. So we can have all.
You're all about scalability.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, it is a family of podcasts. In that we have another show, which is called Staying Alive. Staying Alive is for the CHOP format specifically, and
well, at least you can use the Bee Gees song in your podcasts.
You really can't do that.
Oh,
it's really unfortunate. Can't do that at all. I could sing a totally different version of Staying Alive, but if I even sang to the same melody as Staying Alive, then we'd get yanked from all the podcast platforms.
It's quite a litigious society.
It really is.
Found ourselves in.
Yeah, I find it to be very frustrating, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, everyone in the stands would agree is when they're thinking about, 9 to noon, we play funky songs, so
yeah.
I want to hear something from Curtis Mayfield. You're not going to go to your preferred podcast or playlist site. You're going to listen to 20 seconds of it in a 9 to noon podcast, and therefore taking money out of the pockets of those that have music rights.
Yes.
To that end, fantasy, let's get back to fantasy. Fantasy football world. Ashton Genty.
Yes.
So it must have been a week or two ago. You were singing the praises of Ashton Genty. It's year 2. It's the optimism behind Clint Kubiak's offense.
Right.
Just more competence on the offensive side of the ball. You got nicked up. And even by the way, I think in joining us, you, as much as you loved Genty, you almost loved his backup in terms of a fantasy option later stages of the draft in fantasy leagues. So where are we at with Ashton Genty, and should people still be considering him early on in the first round?
Now Genty's going to run you a third-round pick. He was going end of the first round.
Really?
And so that was the price point before.
Okay.
But then he had this accident in practice. Everybody took a knee. And for a day, we didn't know anything about the injury, but we knew the whole team took a knee.
Yep.
So we know what that means. This is not going to be good. And he was plummeting down to, for a day, 10th round, 11th round before anybody would draft him. Then it turned out
that getting could be pretty good for those.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then it turned out that it was not the presumed ACL, it was a sprained ankle. Now, I wish there would be just a little bit more vetting before the whole team takes a knee on injuries. I mean, it's a sprained ankle. If the whole team takes a knee on a sprained ankle, we don't. Right at that point, we're all going crazy because take a knee is usually that. So
means you're trying to legislate how the players react to an on-field injury.
Yes. If a stretcher is not involved, if the cart does not come out, then I think you remain standing. You can still have all the same care and concern, but I think there should be. You got to pick your battles from when you take the knee, and the sprained ankle is not take a knee moment.
Let me ask you this, small aside. So daughters, 11-year-old soccer this spring, U11s.
Yeah.
A girl was it was a little bit of a hip check, and this girl hits the dirt. All the players take a knee. I kind of think they should stand. But am I being insensitive? I mean, they're 11-year-old kids.
I don't think so. I don't. Well, they see the grown-up athletes do it, so that's what they do.
And there's just kind of an emotional thing, and it takes a lot. Parents are on the field. It was just kind of a little hip check.
Yeah, you're raising a lot of concern at that point, right? I mean, people are freaking out, and
it's quite incendiary.
Yeah. It is incendiary, isn't it?
But
I don't know. But I understand They only have wishing the best for the injured player. I understand that. I don't want him to be more injured. I don't want to take away the possibility of divine intervention in that moment. But at the same time, I think you got to pick your battles. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, thank you. So if you want Ashton Genty right now, you're going to pay a third-round price for it.
Okay.
Here's what you have to know. It's either a low high ankle sprain or a high low ankle sprain. We don't know which yet because the team does not have to clarify anything about injuries this time of year. And the belief is that he will not be fully healthy for week 1 and may not even play week 1. So you really have to decide, okay, can I afford my third-round pick to not be the lead back and maybe not even be startable for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks? And if you can live with that, great. Then go buy
dictate this?
Yeah, I mean, if you're in a chop league, no dice because you don't want to get chopped in September and have your season end in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So at that point, Genty falls a lot more. In a standard league, you need to decide how important those first few weeks are. I care a lot about those first few weeks. I don't want to start 1-4 and now I'm desperate. Then I got to make bad trades. I got to shake up my roster. I don't like being that guy. But the other side of it is you could buy the dip on Genty. And then just say, even if I got to take him 2 rounds early, I'm going to go get Mike Washington, and I'm just going to lock up the coveted Raiders backfield.
Okay.
And I say that with a certain amount of irony. Yes.
The coveted
Raiders backfield. And Washington, by the way, has looked fantastic. So you could execute that. You could execute that plan. That's possible.
Program director Chad Abbott wanted me to ask you because he is in the midst of, just whether it's dynasty leagues, it's rookie leagues, it's empire leagues. You wouldn't believe. I just try to ask him a quick programming question about something in Next Gen, and he's in the midst of a draft. And at this particular point, we were having dead air, and I'm just trying to scramble to get the fan back on the air. And he was more concerned about whether or not he should draft Juwan Johnson, the tight end of the New Orleans Saints. In the 8th or 9th round, and when was the right spot to take a guy that could be Tyler Shook's favorite target?
I'm so glad you brought up one of my favorite sleepers. He was my favorite sleeper last year, and nobody knew who Juwan Johnson was, and he ended up with the 3rd most yards among tight ends.
Sheesh.
And that was fantastic. This year, same thing. He is my guy once again. Here's why. Now, he only scored 3 touchdowns last year, and that's what kept Juwan Johnson from being a household name right now. And while you can still get him as a steal round 11, round 12 of your draft, he plays for the Saints. Taysom Hill is gone. That's a huge part of it. Taysom Hill was a thorn in the side of every fantasy owner because inside the 5-yard line, they'd bring in Taysom Hill, who hadn't played any down anywhere up until that time, and then Taysom Hill would throw in a touchdown, run in a touchdown, catch a touchdown, whatever. Oh, totally annoying. Then the running backs they've got there, Travis Etienne, now Travis Etienne, and Alvin Kamara are proven horrible goal line backs. They cannot move a pile. Yeah. They can't work in that situation.
Kamara's out for a stretch, too.
And Kamara's going to miss at least a month. Saints, will pass way more at the stripe than they did last year when Tyler Shough was only given 1 pass from inside the 5-yard line all last year, just 1. As a sophomore, that will go up. No Taysom Hill. A lot of those passes are going to go to Juwan Johnson. I like that guy a lot.
So is there a round?
I'm taking him around earlier. He is my reach-around tight end. So I am taking him round number 9, Juwan Johnson.
I would trust you in that vein, in that particular idea. Now, in terms of, I don't even know why I'm going to ask this, but I'm going to ask this. From a fantasy perspective, and the answer isn't even this player, it's probably just the team. How much does Deshaun Watson hurt the value of maybe it hurts the value of everyone around him?
It really does.
that might be beyond football. I don't know, but
nobody's enriched by the Deshaun Watson experience.
It's clearly not Browns fans.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, certainly not.
So we're just staying away?
It hurts all the Browns. So Deshaun Watson, they announced he'll be the starting quarterback last Monday. They go away Jacksonville, and then they go away Tampa to start the season. And I think they listed him as the starting quarterback because they are away games, and they didn't want the hometown crowd booing him in the first 2 games. He got booed off the field in the preseason game that he just played, and he was awful. He had 5 of 12 with an interception. And
how about when he basically said the entire fan base was disrespecting him?
Yes.
Almost as if he was victimized by the situation.
And did you see what Deshaun Watson was doing while he was talking about how bad this fan base disrespected him?
I think he was playing around with like $100,000 earring.
That's exactly what he was doing. He was playing with his 5-carat earrings while he's lecturing the Browns fans on what bad fans they are. Well, maybe you're a bad quarterback.
$230 million contract.
Yes. His last 300-yard passing game was 2,090 days ago.
Yeah.
His last 200-yard passing game, which is nothing, was 2023.
I mean, we got our own issues in Minnesota, but just think about like the Rust Belt, and you're some third shift machinist, and you put all your discretionary dollars into being a member of the Dog Pound, and you have Deshaun Watson saying that. I mean, take a hat off, pour out a little bit for all Browns fans having a deal.
Okay, so let's bring this back to Grigson. Who we think might be with Cleveland now. We're not positive. We've lost track of Ryan Grigson a little bit.
I got the internet. Hang on.
How about J.J. McCarthy to the Browns for a 6th rounder? What do you think? Yes? Are we in? No?
Yeah.
It seems to be a split consent. It's not a consensus. Split vote from the crowd here. Now, I got a guy waving 4 at me. J.J. McCarthy is not going to get a 4th rounder, even from the Browns in that front office. That is totally unrealistic.
Although Grigson is there.
Is he there?
Grigson's there.
Well, maybe this is going to be the connection. Maybe this is going to be it. But
how has Grigson become? I mean, it's just whether it was, Kwesi now on his way out. I think there are definitely dots you can connect to some ill-conceived ideas and things.
Yeah.
But how does? I mean, in the inner workings, like, how do we know what Grigson even did or did not do during his time with the Minnesota Vikings?
Well,
I mean,
he had a big voice in the room for sure, right?
Did he?
I mean, he was second in command, right? And here's Kwesi, who has no experience as a general manager, and he talked all the time about getting the multitude of voices in the room and hearing from everybody. Yeah. I think Grigson had a lot of sway.
This team makes me feel like I'm hearing voices sometimes in my head, but I just feel like sometimes when we fire people, or in this case, just inside guys, internal guys, we have the SVP or executive VP of personnel. Clearly, that's a cool title on a business card that matters.
Yes,
I'm not saying his voice didn't matter. I don't know what he did. I don't know if it was good. I don't know if it was bad. Who he gets credit for. Who's the undrafted free agent that he scouted that worked out, or was a disaster, or did it matter because it was a UDFA? I don't know.
We'll never know. We'll never know, but he was the assistant general manager, so Grigson had.
But he was in the room, and it was bad.
And it was bad.
And now he's not in the room.
His Colts drafts were bad. His Vikings drafts were bad. And now he's in Cleveland. By the way, everybody says he's a really nice guy, which he must be.
Grigson is awesome.
Yeah, which he
was good to us. He joined the show a couple of times.
Yep.
Elite football mind, but maybe there's clearly an area where being an elite football mind doesn't mean being an elite decision maker.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Yep.
All right. Well, don't draft any Browns. Although they got the Concepcion cat.
He looks really good.
He does?
If you're in a dynasty league where you're going to be able to hold Concepcion to next year, and maybe he's catching passes from Arch Manning in 2027, now I'm interested. They got Denzel Boston, the 2nd-round wide receiver. I really like him, too. It's just they're going to struggle, whether it's Watson, he'll be out by the end of the 2nd week.
You think so?
So it'll be away Jacksonville, big loss for the Browns. Away Tampa, big loss from the Browns. No way they bring him on the field in front of the Cleveland fan base after what he said for the home opener in Week 3. It'll be Shedeur.
They're bringing him in. Yes, he'll take the booze.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
No. It'll be Shedeur probably.
What if
Dylan Gabriel maybe. And then it'll just be, they got to grind out the rest of a lost season in Cleveland.
All right, we're totally behind it. We're going to pause. But what about this? So I've seen it just Kyler QB1.
Yeah.
And we're playing the what ifs. We're fatalistic Vikings fans, and it's almost like we're negative on the idea that Kyler Murray could have an amazing season. And then when you think about that, what goes into that? That's double-digit wins. Let's win a playoff game, first in the head coach's tenure. And then, oh no, we might have to pay him. And so people are thinking and projecting forward. What if Deshaun has an
Whoa. Are you saying that people are already worried about whether or not we can afford Kyler Murray next year?
I'm not saying these super educated, awesome, and terrific-looking fans here at the stands.
Well, the guys in the Packer, take the guys in the Packer jersey out of this conversation.
Yeah, but he's strong, and he represents his kids here. We got red, white, and blue face paint. Dorsey Levens, what a throwback. That's awesome.
How about your Najee Davenport? Where's your Najee Davenport jersey?
Oh, come on. He's got Woodson on the back. Hey, border battle's a couple weeks away. We can be friends until then, right? I think so. Week 1, we can be buddies until then.
No, we don't have to be buddies. And if you're a serious Packer fan, embrace Najee Davenport. Then we know you're serious about your Packer fandom when you're ready to put him on the back of your jersey. A little Chimura, maybe, if you want to go tight end. Those are your hardcore Packer fans.
Chimura's kind of tenuous, isn't he?
Oh yeah. I wouldn't go around wearing a Chimura jersey, but I'm saying if you're a real Packer fan, you'll wear the Davenport, you'll wear the Chimura.
And there's one that we're just not going to mention. So anyway, fantasy topics it is. And when we return, we're still a couple of short segments away. PA, of course, it's a Friday football and fantasy feast. There is a Vikings game tonight, and it's a Mile High in Denver. Vikings and the Broncos kick off shortly after 8 p.m. PA, Pete, and Ben on the scene to tell the story, show us the story. Who's going to play? What's happening? PA joins at 11:35. But I'm Nordo from 9 to noon, Paul Charchian with me, and it is 9 to noon on the Fan right here at the Fair.
From the 1-800-ASK-GARY Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Allstate.
Just a couple of trouble spots on the road.